Buddy, we're here with Happy Rick Ruckman from Happy Trucking. Once again, Friday, February 9th for another episode of Happy Truck Talk. And unfortunately, as Rick knows, no one else does, that good old fumble fingers here forgot to record last week's episode. So we're going to go back and cover a lot of the topics we talked about last week. We've got some dash cams. We've got CSA issues that Rick just touched upon that we actually last week we're just starting to cover towards the end of our meeting. But yeah, so on another note, I know this probably won't be part of it, but I did reach out, Rick, to Jeremy Kaufman at Tucker and Albin about 2 weeks ago and sent him our link to the YouTube YouTube channel so he could see you and I, going over things. He thought it was a great idea. I guess he's out of New Orleans now and started an office there, but he was supposed to reach back. I need to reach out to him maybe next week, see what his thoughts are. I sent him the links to the Instagram as well as Facebook so he could take a look at things and maybe get him on an episode to talk about the difficulties that motor carriers have in collecting from brokers. But that's another issue. I just wanted to let you know that. I know it's being recorded, but I'm sure we'll edit that out. But that's just a conversation there. So one other thing I did want to touch base on is, and actually I got this through, I believe, no, I thought it was Verizon Connect. It's not. It's actually a white paper from Fleet Technology Trend Reports. And we talk a lot about the dash cams and how important they are now more than ever, and how they're just starting to get, household names, basically, what a dash cam is, why you need it. I think we're trying to help by showing some of these accidents or near misses that, could be, problems for trucking companies. But just a quick, when it comes to dash cams and stuff, using video technology, it says fleets were able to achieve their goals, including protection from false claims. 77%. They've reduced false claims by 77%. Now, this is as of, I believe, 2021. So that's going on 3 years ago. So 77% back then. Reduced accident costs by 48%. And the big one, because I'm sitting here from an insurance standpoint, reduced the insurance costs by, guess how much?
I don't know.
44%. That's a lot. That more than obviously pays for the dash cams, the continued education with the drivers by using incidences. If I'm allowed to say that word. And, you can use with just that particular driver that had the issue, but your other drivers in your fleet too. So I thought that was interesting. That's 3 years ago. I'm sure it's even better now. But 77% false claims. That's our wonderful billboard attorneys that are out there that we all know and can't stand. And I hope they're listening. So, it's called spade a spade. So, all right, well, let's jump in. I'm going to share screen. We're going to go right into, we had about 4 dash cams that we covered last week. The first one is, I think, excellent when it comes to the number of dash cams this particular unit has on its truck. If you recall, there's six different views of a guy that the particular driver came in contact with that was on his phone. So getting right to it, let's do this right now. Let's blow this up so we've got a full screen and we're going to go. Can you see my screen now? No?
No.
All right. How about now? And
yep, should be able to start. Yes.
Okay. All right. Just like it says. Guy's on his phone. And this video actually is put together very well. I don't have to do a lot of explaining of what's going on. There's our 6 cameras. which are excellent. You've got the driver's side, you've got the front, you've got the right front, the left rear, underneath the truck, and of course the right rear. So we can see that. Let's actually go back once again right here. So I was talking the first go round, and guy's clearly on his phone. Guy does, I can't tell. Looks like he's got his turn signal, does have his turn signal on, but just cuts it way too close and feels the wrath of 80,000 pounds coming down upon him. And hopefully he realizes that being on the phone is not that important at this point. So this particular one, they go to a single camera view from the driver's side, which clearly shows right there that he was on his phone, and way too short, cuts it over, is not even paying attention. 63 miles an hour our driver's going. So that becomes ugly quick. Could have been a lot worse. Looks like the minivan never flipped or anything, but the damage, I'm sure, was very extensive, probably totaled the minivan at this point. Extensive damage to the front of our truck, made our truck late for its next stop. Here it says he received 5 citations as far as that goes. And there we go. So I think what is important out of this, of course, is I think the setup is excellent when it comes to, I don't know if you need the under the truck video, but for whatever reason, they've got 6 set up on this particular unit. Have you looked into additional cameras? I think we talked about that before, for at least going down the sides of both sides of the truck.
We have not asked Verizon Connect if they offer that, but that would definitely be, it would make the experience double as good.
Oh, I'm telling you right there, you can't. That guy, I mean, as soon as the police, I'm sure, saw that, he got his 5 violations. If this guy even tries to call the billboard attorney, that video is going to clearly shut that down. So it's and there it goes back to that reduced insurance cost, 44%, false claims, 77%. And I even think it was 48% on the accident cost itself. So, and we know,
Steve,
you go ahead,
Steve,
sir.
when do you think the insurance industry might say, all right, guys, a couple forward facing, that'll be a 10% discount, rearward facing, that'll be 15. When is that coming?
That is coming. That is, some of the insurance companies are already starting to put that into play. They don't get that specific as far as if you have to have where your placement of the cameras, but just having a dash cam is resulting in 5%, maybe 10%, depending upon the fleet size, possibly. But yes, some insurance companies are already starting to do that. There's no question. And you're going to see more and more, because if they can pass on the savings to the motor carrier for the false claims that go away, the reduced accident cost that goes away, to reduce your insurance by 5% is nothing to them at this point. So why not, give it back to the policyholder in this case for taking on that little bit extra cost to make them even more of a secure trucking company. So, but just once again, that particular incident, how would you address? I mean, you're sitting back in the office, your driver said, "Hey, Rick, just had a guy cut me off. The truck's extensively damaged. I'm not going to make it to the next stop. We got a load of, redwood or something in the back here that's got to be delivered tomorrow morning. What do I do? What do I do?" By the way, go online. You can see the accident. What happened?
One of the first questions would be, were you already, backed off? Was there any chance we could have, hit the brakes and let him go on by? Because it looked like it was pretty close, but there's no audio, so we can't tell that.
Correct. Correct. And once again, he was, we saw the speed was 63. I'm hoping it was a 65 mile per hour zone and not 55, because that could be detrimental. Well, an attorney would see that and say, well, you were going above the speed limit by 8 miles an hour. So, even though my client cut you off, if you were not going the speed that if you would have been going the speed limit, he could have safely made that lane change, even though he wasn't paying attention and was on the phone, carrying, holding the phone instead of hands free. So, once again, could he have backed off? I don't know. He would have to see. That guy, made his turn or made his lane change pretty close to the blind spot of the truck because he was up towards the front, so it would have been tough, as far as that goes. But so that was number one, which, once again, that's a great example. Number two, let's scroll on over here to this particular one that I wanted to go over. And I think this is this one here. This is where we've got a little Chevy Cruze. Looks like we potentially have two cars. This gray vehicle on the left, Chevy Cruze on the right. It's the Chevy Cruze though that we're, so, and there we go. But this is what's crazy. After that little bump, our truck is now hanging on a guardrail. And I apologize. I need to get that back. That's a quick video. So, and looks like we have to wait for, obviously this will be edited out. And we got two. Looks like we have two commercials. Come on. And what the heck? Looks like we got three commercials. Barry Canuto, whatever his name is. Can we get through this? All right, let's go back here. Where's my, that was it. Wait. I apologize. I need to get better and have these queued up. So I just think it's crazy how that truck got stopped. Obviously, he's hanging on the guardrail. No question there. And I don't know why this one should jump right to. And get this. Take a look at this Chevy Cruze. Look, I don't know why. Here we go. This is a little better. Look, take a look at the headlights and see if you notice something here. This doesn't have anything to do with the accident, but just take a look at possibly the type of driver that's driving the Chevy Cruze, okay? And I wish I could slow it down, but I'm going to maybe pause it when it gets closer. Take a look at the headlight. Do you see what's on the headlight? Can you see that?
No.
You can't see
eyelashes?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Eyelashes. So tinted windows. Can't see the driver. We've got eyelashes. Yeah. Driver did have the turn signal on. But our driver, once again, did our driver do anything wrong at this point? Clearly, the driver can see the turn signals on, right? At this point, I think our driver should have backed off. We don't know what's behind him. If someone's riding, it doesn't matter if someone's riding his tail because that's their problem. But we don't have sound, of course, probably laying on the horn a little bit because he knows she's coming over. I'm assuming it's a she. I'm going to use she. Yeah. So what is our takeaway on this? She makes contact, realizes she's made a mistake, tries to overcorrect. It's rainy, a little slick, and comes in, hits our vehicle, which, are you surprised how easily our driver went basically 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes into the guardrail? We don't know. It doesn't say the speed, but obviously he's overcorrecting for some reason. And now he's just tied up traffic for that little incident, probably tied up traffic for hours. Let alone, we don't know what other vehicles already hit this truck that he came across the 4 lanes. So how do you, with our driver, what are we doing there? Rick, I need you to take a look at dash cam. I'm hanging over the guardrail right now. Not going to make it to the appointment for sure. Cargo shifted. The band's broke. It's raining. And
Gonna be a DOT recordable because he's going to be towed out of there.
Oh, for sure. Right. And we don't know, once again, what other cars came in contact as he's coming over. How much damage this particular little, basically fender bender, because that's all it was at this point to start with. So your driver says, "Hey, Rick, you better get on here and take a look at this. This just happened. What are we doing?"
It's gonna be a long day. And I wonder if he got hit in the back also, because
that's what I was saying. Yeah. If he cutting across.
What pushed it to go so quickly across all of those lanes, and a long day.
Yes. But what is the education takeaway for your other drivers for this particular driver?
It's almost like the last one, the question, could you have backed off? Could you have avoided it at all? And, from a driver's point of view, think about how many on-ramps there are in a given day. Oh, okay. You want me to back off of every single time that I come to an on-ramp? I'll never get anywhere, and there's some validity to that statement.
There is. This particular one, though, was not an on-ramp. This was truly a lane change. So you can see that's not an on-ramp. There's lanes of traffic, going forward. So she's just for some reason, she's trying to come over. I don't know why, but she did. And that happened. So, but you're right. 2 for 2. We're talking about speed and safe distance, right? Speed management, safe distance in both occasions. And there's no question. I don't have a statistics. I'm sure I can go online and find it, but how many times speed and space management come into play? So you have to take that. You need to talk to somebody. Hey, if someone's going to come bother you, they have to come into the screen at least so we can see them. Right? So, all right, let's jump up to see if we have another speed and space management on this one. And this is, where's my stopping point? Right here. This is good old, our driver. With the commercials. I apologize. And it makes me hungry. There we go. Real quick though, to preface this, driver's in, must have had, maybe had to check his load. He's off the berm. He's on the side of the road. Hazards are probably on. And he's getting back in the truck, getting ready to get back into the flow of traffic. Nobody's ahead of him. We can see kind of by his West Coast mirror on the driver's side. I don't see anybody, at least, in that lane. So he's thinking, okay, I'm safe to get back into that lane of traffic. And evidently that is not the case, because we've got, all of a sudden, boom, we've got Mr. Hopper guy that possibly isn't paying attention. And for some reason, forces our driver. Looks like he just figures, you know what? After that, I'm just going to make a right-hand turn here and park the truck and be done for the day. Even though that wasn't the case, So, yeah. So now he's back to stopping again. Texas State Troopers. And okay, that was that. That's all that was. But at this point, I don't really see anything else that our driver could have done. In fact, doesn't it look like the hopper was already in the left lane and was coming over and then back to the left lane again? So it happens quickly. not much to say there. As far as your driver goes, what do you tell your driver? He calls up and says, hey, that debris is a combination of his mirror, which probably is gone, and my mirror, or possibly my mirror is gone. It's on the all over the highway right now. But Rick, it wasn't my fault. I was just getting up to speed, getting over it back into the flow of traffic. And this hopper guy, or the bottom hopper, needed to get that grain to the chickens quickly. It didn't care. So, and just kept going. But so there we go. Last one, and then we're gonna get some other things. Let's go up to this one here. This is a great one. Preface this, you've seen this from last week. Good old orange barrels are starting to come out here soon. So a lot of drivers have to watch for this particular situation. I'm sure this happens, I think you said last week, about 80 times a day. We're going into a single lane, and we've got our car over here that decides, you know what, I can't wait. I'm going to pass everybody, and I need to get in there. I need to get in. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep slow rolling, and I'm going to just try and squeeze in. Our driver, I think for sure, should have backed off. Here's another space management. I have to get to work, I think she says. And this is going to block traffic up for a long time, because if I'm not mistaken, that slow speed was down to 3 miles an hour, maybe. 0 right now, but let's go here. Okay, he's at 4 miles an hour. Oh, he actually sped up a little bit. 6 miles an hour. He's actually speeding up. Now he's back down to 4, 3, and there's our impact. So, my opinion, I think the driver's at fault at this point. He knows how hard is it to just let her in real quick and carry on your day, right?
For the 83rd time of the day.
Yes, I understand. But now your driver's sitting there. He's going to be late. It's not a DOT recordable because there's not going to be a tow, but the police are going to come, I'm sure, which is now backed up traffic, since that's the only lane to get off this particular highway. Probably a good hour or so. Definitely unnecessary. He actually sped up, which kind of bothers me in this case. That driver could have, how hard is it to just let her in? Was she wrong? No question. But was it worth this now? So our driver, I believe, gets out here, and she does receive the citations, and here we've got, like you just saw at the very end, what you've created now is a situation where other cars are not going to wait, and they're now coming off and trying to go around. So at that point, once again, she does receive the citations, but I would still say that this definitely was a preventable accident. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now I know you have a lot of bonuses tied into how drivers act on the road, so to speak, from CSA score violations. This won't be a CSA violation, but would you, fine your driver for this incident? Because there's probably a little bit of damage to the truck, a little bit. It's your truck. If it's owner operator and it's a scuff, that's up to him, I guess, right? But if this is yours, now you've got a scuff or a crack or something on the right front fairing of your truck that eventually is going to need to get fixed. If it gets cold out, that crack might become an issue, So the next DOT walk around is going to see that, right? At this point. So you've just created some issues. So do you, and I'm going to take this down now. Let's stop this here. Do you hold your driver a little bit of accountable for this from a monetary standpoint? Because I know that's how you get points across. I mean, there's no question everybody knows the value of a dollar, and that's how people seem to learn, is if they get that dollar taken away.
Yeah, we have the bonus system, and in this case, if there's damage to the vehicle, it would remove the driver's 5% bonus for 90 days. You know, how many thousands of dollars is he going to miss out on? And the argument is going to be, well, it's not going to cost that much to get the front of the truck fixed. And that may be the case, but, you know, again, 83rd time a day that a driver has to go through this, and I'm aware of that, you know, this is every single doggone intersection and every interaction with other vehicles, but the repercussions for the carrier, you're right. Now you have a truck with some damage that presents the wrong message and image, not only to the DOT but to your customers. You know, do you really want this thing, you know, strapped together with bungee cords and duct tape pulling up to the dock to pick up the next load? Not at all.
That's a good point, because I think of the CSA DOT standpoint, that's a great point. I keep forgetting that you've got an image, obviously, with your customers and the shipper, and both ways, both sides of that. So you're right, and yeah, that's a good point across, to get across here. So did you get that? Okay, so we've got, which is okay, because we're actually going to. Did you see that too? 10 minutes left.
Yes.
Okay, so we touched upon the very beginning. You were looking at your CSA scores, and we last week were just getting into, how the CSA scores can really affect other drivers, not just the driver that had the violation. This guy that had the ticket. If you're okay with it, run through real quick what the ticket was for today.
All right. So the driver calls in this morning, and he says, "Well, I want to tell you guys, I received a citation, but it was, you know what? It's just a warning. So we're okay." And
those are the
we're
worst.
not okay.
Those are the worst, right? The warnings.
Yeah. The warnings are the worst because you cannot fight a warning.
Correct.
You can't fight a warning. So when the driver called in, and Lynn got the call, she worked at educating him that this affects not just you, but it affects the entire fleet. Well, how is that? I didn't have to pay anything, and I didn't get any points off my license, and he said, just don't do it again. And she walked him through how this will stay on the carrier's record for 24 months at different capacities. The point value changes, but it is still a sin. It's still a discretion. It's still, go to the corner for 24 months, and it increases our cost of insurance. It gets us pulled in for more inspections. And if this type of behavior continues, it can trigger an audit.
What was, can you walk us through real quick what the violation was for? You don't have to if you don't want to, but that created a warning that this driver felt was not that important at this point because he did not have to pay. You don't have to pay, but we all know that, yes, Happy Trucking will have to pay.
It was a very typical situation that we all hear all the time, especially if you have kids.
Uh-oh.
Steve, you have kids. I'm
I
sure
do.
you heard this many times as they were growing up. Everybody was doing it.
Okay.
Everybody was doing it. There was a line of 6 trucks, and we were going down the road, and we were talking, and we were having a good time, and we were talking about how things happened back in and carrying on. and we just blew right on by the mandatory brake check.
Oh, all 6 of them. We can
Yeah.
assume all 6.
All 6 of them. And so blue came on and all 6 got pulled.
Did they
So
really?
let's just add to this that we were on a tight schedule to begin with today.
Exactly.
So depending on if you're the first truck in line or the 6th truck, imagine the time. I bet that 6th truck probably there an hour and 20 minutes waiting on his ticket to be written.
Because there was only one DOT officer that stopped them all.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So you're right. He's got to go down the
every
line.
single one got some type of infraction, whether it was a warning or otherwise. But my goodness, we didn't have, it's Friday. There's more traffic on Friday. Everybody wants to get home earlier on Friday. Everything is compressed on Fridays. So this was not the time to blow by the brake check. If there ever is a time, which there is not. You know?
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's great. I mean, Lynn took it out of your hands. She addressed it immediately. I guess my question to you and Lynn now is, after she spelled it out and emphasized the repercussions that this little incident would have trickle down unhappy, because a lot of drivers don't realize that. They just think, okay, I got a warning. Whew, I'm okay. I'm going to let you know it happened, and I'm, back on down the road, and I'm in another conversation and having a good time again. But what was his response to Lynn after she kind of spelled that out?
He was incredulous. Oh, I know it's bad. I know it's bad. And she said, I want to paint the picture on how bad this is. And, 4% of your income over 90 days. Well, what do you mean 4% of my income? That knocks out the bonus. There's a 4% bonus at Happy Trucking Incorporated. If you do not have a ticket, whether it's a warning or otherwise, if you do not have one of those, you get 4% higher income
Every 90
what
days.
That means for 90 days.
Yeah.
And we have guys that since day one of working here have never had that bonus interrupted. And then we have others that unfortunately have had that bonus not paid to them because they've gotten a ticket.
Which equates to roughly what in dollars and cents?
Thousands of dollars. I mean, over a 90-day period, that could be $5,000 in driver's wages.
Wow,
in
yeah.
driver's wages.
Yeah.
And so, it's a good tool, but somehow when we hire, even though we go over this program, it doesn't seem to set. I mean, nobody remembers, and it's hard. We all were with our peers and we're talking, we're having a good time, and it's early in the morning, and no one's going to know if I go by this mandatory brake check, and we just absolutely did get caught.
Let me ask you this, because you had the dash cam rolling, right? Did you see this on dash cam?
I haven't looked yet because it may not have posted to Verizon Connect yet, but
Okay.
It will be there.
That's something you could put, obviously in a driver's file, keep it for a safety meeting down the road, and use that as an education tool. Once again, it was a warning. So they're thinking no harm, no foul, the drivers do. And, you've got this bit of video that shows, yeah, there's not a lot going on here, no question. But it happened. It was on a Friday. You're in a tight schedule. The steps are trickle down that there's, once again, that coupled with next month when you see when that shows up on your CSA, what that's going to do. We've got a lot of good educational material here. So for all the drivers. Yes. And it'd be nice if there was a way to put just a quick blurb that you could send to your drivers after this all comes down, where you could take a little bit of that video, take a screenshot of your safety score today, take it when it affects, And then boom, you've got 2 or 3 screenshots that shows, you know, Joe just last month, you know, I'm not singling Joe out, but this is what happened. You know, every one of you are going to think, well, that's no big deal. It's just a warning. Well, here, take a look at what really happened. CSA score now, CSA score in 45 days, potential, as we know, a lot of our audience may not know this, but you know, when the DOT pulls you over or goes across the scale, they punch in your DOT number, and there's basically a traffic light inside that says, you know, it's obviously red, yellow, or green. So did you now just go from green to yellow? Which, or if you went from yellow to red, we don't know yet. But what I'm saying is, for your drivers or for anybody else, if that does go yellow to red, now you've affected every one of your drivers in the fleet. Because if it's red, they are getting pulled into the back for an inspection every time.
Yes.
So yes, it does affect all your drivers as far as that goes. So it looks like we're down to about a minute. But I do thank you once again. I thank Lynn for, you know, doing her due diligence with the drivers. You know, they're probably going to be like, well, Lynn's, I don't like calling Lynn anymore. She's the Gestapo around here. I want to talk to Rick. He's easier than Lynn. So, but that's good. That's great. That's a good culture. We talked about safety culture before. I know we'll address it again. But this is how you develop a safety culture, like we just talked about, you know, taking that before and after of the CSA scores. But my friend, you have a good weekend, and we'll talk again next week and cover some more good information. So appreciate it. Thanks, Rick.
All right.
Okay. All righty. Bye-bye.